What's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz going live tonight. Got this. Going to be talking about the tree of life. We give people some time to log on. We're doing a little couple of things here. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about a lot concerning the tree of life. Going to be on here for about maybe an hour, maybe two, depends on how things are going. But we're definitely going to talk about the tree of life tonight. When you come on, go ahead and say hello, how you doing? Let me know where you are. I just learned that when you're rewatching these, you can see the chats now. So that was pretty interesting. You just click on the chats. Hey, how you doing, Nikki? Coming from Milwaukee. All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. Nice to see you. All right. Got all kind of things going on. Good evening, little God. How you doing? I'll be talking about the tree of life tonight. And it's going to be interesting because it's going to come from many different perspectives. It's Detroit, ATL, Cleveland. Yeah. Cavaliers in the playoffs. See how that work out. I haven't been paying attention, so I don't know. But if you guys are familiar with the tree of life, from Ohio, all right, we got Cleveland and Ohio. We're about in Ohio so that Kim can have an idea where you are, Dewana. Y'all might be in the same city. Be linking up, gathering that consciousness together. But so we're going to definitely talk about the tree of life, not just from the perspective of the Kabbalah. In Canton, I don't know. Trinidad. Yeah, that's just wrong. We just got our first day of real spring here. Like spring finally came back to Atlanta today. It was cold. So Trinidad, you've been chilling down there with that good weather, huh, Kim? But most people, when they hear about the tree of life, this is what they think about. They think about the Kabbalah. They think about the Kabbalic tree with its Sephiros and each Sephira and the 22 pathways to the essence of the Creator. But you gotta understand, Kabbalah has only been around for about 200, 300 years. Hasn't been around that long. So it pulls from many different areas. So it's not an original thing. The Kabbalic treatment, not treatment, that's the wrong word, but the Kabbalic teachings. An interesting side note about Kabbalah is that back in the day, if you had to be a 40-year-old man who had proven that you were pretty dang astute in the Torah in order for you to study Kabbalah. So the ancient mysteries were hidden unless you proved yourself worthy to be able to study Kabbalah. So oftentimes when we talk about secret knowledge, secret organization, this is nothing new. People have always thought that you have to elevate yourself to a certain level. And this was during the whole age of Pisces. So the age of Pisces is about just believing without knowing. And it's also was about keeping information sacred and hidden from the masses of people so that only the elite can share this information. Because what the Hebrews, Israelites, don't want you to really know about is that the Kabbalic tree also corresponds to certain magic spells, but it also corresponds to the tarot cards, the 10 Sephiros, which is why they leave out this one. This doesn't have all of them. Let me make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But this doesn't have all of them. These 10 Sephiros correlate to 10 of the primary tarot cards, but there is an 11th Sephira that this one doesn't have. That one is called the Dioth. We're going to cover that in greater detail. You know what? Let's go ahead and cover it now since we're here. Okay? Since we're here, since I've already started talking about it, in Kabbalah you have what's known as the tree of life. They've also superimposed the body of man so that you can understand the different conscious states of the Creator and how we are a reflection of the Creator. Now the problem, one of the first issues with the Kabbalic understanding is that it says that first there was the All, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever you want to call it. First there was God, and then the God, in a need to know itself, it had to experience the different realms of consciousness. So it broke itself off into these 10, actually 11, if we count the Dioth, which is in the middle, the 11 different essences of life. being at the very bottom with Yeshud, right? Malkuth. This is Malkuth. Malkuth is the basic. It's kingdom. It's the earth, right? And then you got Yeshud, which is foundation. And you go up. And as you go up into the pathways, you want these are to be balanced. Beauty is to be balanced. Victory is to be balanced. They're all supposed to be balanced so that the person can develop into the Keter, which is consciousness. And the numbering goes 1. It starts here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And there is an 11th. There's one in here called the Dayath, which the Dayath represents knowledge. You notice this is understanding. Binah is understanding. Chakma is wisdom. And then the crown is Keter. But without knowledge, how do you get understanding? Like, none of these others represent knowledge. So where's the knowledge? That's the part that's hidden in here. So there's knowledge that's missing. But this was also called going through the abyss. So you had to go through the abyss, or in Star Wars jargon, go through the dark side. So you had Binah, you get the knowledge, then you have Binah, understanding, then you go over to wisdom, and then with that wisdom you're able to enter the Keter, which is your crown. It's just a basic understanding of it, but this is supposed to be the idea of how God, the Creator, needed to experience or desired to experience everything as existence so that it can know itself. And when we were the creation of that, we were created in that image. So the only problem I have with that, I don't have a problem with the idea of this is the path. These are the 22 possible pathways of man, and balancing those 22 pathways, we get to the crown of our own understanding. I have no problems with that. I actually like that aspect of it. But the problem that I did have with it is the fact that it is suggesting that they all needs something, has to have reason, is compelled to do anything. If you're omnipresent, first of all, if you're omniscient, how is it that you don't understand yourself? If you're omnipresent, how is it that you do not understand the presence of total self? So needing to break itself up in order to know itself is idiotic. You cannot be a supreme deity if you need to break yourself up to know yourself. Hello, Michelle. Welcome. All this Cleveland, Ohio and stuff in here. Yeah, come on, Atlanta. Where my Atlanta at? No, but so you don't need. So why would a divine creator need to break itself up into all these? Now, some person, I am not coming up to Cleveland to visit. Sure, live. No, it's cold. I don't do that cold stuff. So you get all these the creative. Now here's the excuse. God needed to do all of this to demonstrate to man how man, as a replica of himself, can follow the 22 pathways to get himself back into the crown, get back into his crown, and then unite with the Creator. Even if that was an understanding that needed to be taught, the Creator itself would not need to break itself up in order to know that. Otherwise, all it needs to do is say, hey, if you want to get back to me, if you want to get an understanding of the universe, if you want to get an understanding of self and as below, so above, or as above, so below, then here's the pathway. There's no need for the Creator to break itself up into these existences. But as a method for man to start to begin to understand himself and the universe around it, because you can also superimpose this with the universe as well. But in order for man to understand itself, I get it. I understand the allegory of the tree of life. But one of the more interesting aspects of the tree of life, like I said, it didn't start with Kabbalah. I mean, Kabbalah, like many things in Christianity, Judaism, Islam, it is borrowed from other people. So in that borrowing from other people, you can do just a little bit of research, and you will find that the tree of life has been known throughout many different cultures. But even before we go there, let's go ahead and look at another aspect of the tree of life first. Don't have any pictures, no graphs. I don't have a Josh. But I was doing a little bit of research about a month ago, looking at the tree of life again back then. Happen to come across many versions in the Christian Bible. So let's go ahead and break away from one aspect of the tree of life as a literal thing, because biblically the tree of life makes no sense. Majority of the time within the Bible, the tree of life is allegorical, is metaphorical, because it speaks about the way a person may be. They are the tree of life, that they taste the fruit of the tree of life, but it's not being literal. There's only two places in the Bible where the tree of life is taken literally. That is in Genesis, and then at the end in Revelation. So at the beginning is literal, and at the end is literal. I was always taught as a kid that when Adam was created, that Adam was created perfect. That Adam and Eve walked in the garden perfect before their bodies were created perfectly. That they didn't have navels, and they have they were perfect. I even had a minister tell me that they didn't have an anus because they were so perfect that there was no waste. But then I asked the question. They had to eat from this tree of life. And if the tree of life was a tree of immortality, a tree that gave them life everlasting, then, and if their bodies were perfect, why do they need to eat from this tree? If their bodies were perfect, why did they need to eat at all? Why did they then? Because the fact that you have to eat means that your body gets to a state of weakness, and the food recharges the body just as much as sleep recharges the body. So evidently they were not perfect beings. How you doing, John? That's two people from Detroit. But that doesn't mean that they were perfect. So they could not have been perfect beings. Now, we can easily look at that in Genesis and say that, okay, well, they were made on earth. They manifested in this flesh. So, Madison, Wisconsin. All right. All right, thank you. So they were these perfect beings. So they could not have been perfect. They're on earth. We can say that they weren't. They was in flesh. Okay, that's fine. But then again, we get to Revelations. Revelation, I believe, is 22. Revelations 22:7, to be exact, I believe. It talks about the tree of life, that in heaven there's a river. And alongside the river is the tree of life. And it produces fruit, 12 different kinds of fruit for every month of the year, which I thought was interesting. Because here's the thing about that. And this could be a totally another subject, a whole nother subject in a sense. The tree of life exists in heaven. It produces fruit, 12 different fruits for the 12 months of the year. If heaven is eternal, why are there months? Why are there months? Why is there time in heaven? If heaven is eternal, would time not matter? I mean, according to Revelations, in heaven, there is no sun, no moon, and it's supposedly God is the light. If that be true, how does the tree produce 12 fruits for each month of the year? It's like a conundrum of time going on in heaven, right? That was one of them questions that I used to ask back in the day when I believed that this might have a possibility of truth to it, as literal truth. And the fact of the matter, and the other aspect of it, if you're reincarnated into the spirit, if you're resurrected into the spirit, then why do you need to eat? If you've been through it, if it's Armageddon and everything has happened, why do you need to eat? Why do you need to eat from this tree of life? Unless your body again weakens. Well, first, unless you're in a body, which is resurrection or reincarnation, because I can imagine if Dr. King's body is just going to come up, it's kind of jacked up now. Those who died in World War I and II, their bodies are kind of messed up. Those who died 2,000 years ago, bodies are a little nasty, maybe just got skeletons. So why do they need to eat unless they're reincarnated back into their original form? Now, if they are reincarnated back into their original form and they need to eat, then that means their body is not perfect again. So we have the same situation of Adam and Eve in the garden. So it's kind of like, it doesn't make any sense, right? That doesn't make any sense. I know. You guys can tell me if it makes sense. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong. I've been wrong about a bunch of stuff in my life, so I don't mind being wrong. But the fact of the matter is, tree of life. Why is it in heaven at all? because you shouldn't need it. If that's real, you shouldn't need a tree of life. But they say that you do. And it has 12, and the fruits produce 12 times a year. And we have 12 different fruits for each month of the year, which is interesting since there's supposed to be no time in heaven. And if it's eternal, if it's eternity, why would you even care about time? Time doesn't matter anymore. What is a day? What is an hour? What is a minute? An hour is the same is the same as 10,000 hours because it doesn't matter. There's no existence of time, but yet there's 12 seasons because this fruit is produced. So I don't believe it's literal. Can't be literal. Doesn't make any sense to be literal. And every other culture prior never made it literal. It was always symbolic of something. So that's what we were going to talk about for the most part tonight, is how the tree of life is very symbolic, but esoterically, what does that mean for you? And how do we make it into something that benefits, that makes sense, that's useful? Or is it even useful? Some information, some esoteric information is just hot air. It's just talking for no reason. So we'll see if it's even that. We'll see if it's even that. So this tree of life idea, this motif of the tree of life, it's been known in so many different cultures, right? From all over the Middle East, throughout Asia, throughout the Americas. Now think about it, this tree of life motif was in the Americas with the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Iroquois and so many other Native Americans. It was in Africa. It was in Asia and China. This idea of a tree of life was all over. The Norse, the tree of Yggdrasil. Supposedly, if you guys are fans of the Avengers movies and Thor, the great tree of Yggdrasil is what connects the 9 realms, right? And Midgard, Earth, is connected through one of the branches of the tree of Yggdrasil. It's the great tree. It's a tree of creation. Now, isn't it interesting that the Norse mythology has it as a tree of creation, and so did the Iroquois had it as a tree of creation when the pregnant lady fell off the great turtle, right? It was a tree. She planted the tree to create the earth and create, everything. This type of motif is known throughout multiple cultures, that the tree represents life, right? It always represents something given. Why does now? Let's think through that for a second. If all these cultures thought about a tree as a life giver and everlasting, in the Islamic faith, it's called the tree of immortality. And there was no tree of knowledge of good and evil. It was the tree of immortality that Adam and Eve ate from that made them disobey and disobedient to God. So if this tree of immortality, why is it a tree of immortality, a tree of life? I'll tell you why. It's a tree of immortality, a tree of life, because with this tree, if you think about ancient cultures, you're looking at a tree, right? All right, Tia. You're looking at a tree. You see the tree go through every season. And as long as nothing major happens to it, if it's just living, it's just doing its thing. No ants eat it up, no termites, anything like that. If a tree is getting water and sunlight, every year it blooms leaves. Every year it produces fruit. The winter come, harsh as it may be. Other animals, other people and creatures, they all die. But then spring comes and the leaves and the buds from the tree, and the tree comes back to life. And from this seed of the tree, the fruit of the tree, the seeds, it plants more trees. Carried off into the wind, fall from the tree, animals carry them off, bury them somewhere else, but it builds more trees. The tree springs up into the heavens, but then opposite, it goes down into the earth. And when you dig up a tree, as many branches go up into the heavens as branches going, we call roots, branches going down into the earth. So the tree is connecting heaven and it's connecting hell, or connecting heaven and it's connecting the underworld, but it's also in the presence of our world, and it's producing fruits and doing all of that. The tree, to ancient people, represented the universe and life, everlasting, that it goes through everything and survives. That if you want to live life, if you want to experience heaven, you look at a tree, gain the understanding, the wisdom of the tree. And so the tree then becomes deified, right? If you look at American gods, it's even anthropomorphized as, well, not anthropomorphized. Well, it is because it has animalistic attributes to it, but it's a god called Mr. Wood in the show American Gods because people worshiped trees. Before they worshiped animals, before animal worship came, there was natural worship and worship of trees. So the tree has survived as a key focal point of creation. And even when you get into your modern current day religions, it's still there. Buddha, Siddhartha, right? Yeah, it is. It's a great analogy of as above, so below. Yeah, and you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We're gonna be here for about an hour. But when you look at Buddha, right, Siddhartha, he sat under the Bo tree or the Bodhi tree. You can call it either one. But he sat under the Bodhi tree. And it is under the Bodhi tree that he gained his enlightenment. Now, let's think about Buddha for a second. He grew up a prince. He had a baby, named his baby Shackles. Like if you translate the name, it means Shackles. Had a baby, had a wife, lived the life of a prince. The story goes, saw a sick man, saw a dead man, saw somebody other kind of man, right? And wanted to experience life. Thought that he can get closer to the Creator if he experienced life. Became an ascetic, meaning he starved himself. He ate as little as possible. He tried to punish himself to the point where he would know the Creator the more he deprived himself. But it was why he had left the ascetics because he was like, I ain't learned nothing from these jokers. At least nothing that it's not getting me there. So he's sitting on the Bodhi tree. Here's this little girl come up to him and she gives him food, offers him food. And it's at that moment, sitting under this tree meditating, that enlightenment occurs for him, that he realizes, what life is really about. And at that moment, he becomes the Buddha. He gains the Buddha mind, the Buddha head. But it's all centered around a tree. And if you go to India right now, you'll find there's a Bodhi tree that they say this is the tree that he gained enlightenment. People go there and they, pray by the tree, meditate by the tree. They leave sacrifices, food sacrifices by the tree. It's like the tree is getting a whole lot of worship going on, right? So it is always this motif of a tree that's bringing enlightenment and it's bringing everlasting life. Now, if we take that to the literal, then we know that the universe is not on the back of a turtle. We know that the great tree Yggdrasil is not connecting the 9 realms, and we understand those things today. I do think that the Kabbalics did a good job of making it into a symbol and understanding of the consciousness of man. But even that, they pull from the Sumerians. As many of you guys know, the Sumerians is the oldest information that we have. It's the oldest that we got. So they pull from the Sumerian, and in the Sumerian text, the tree, you have one of their depictions, and please look this up. You have a eagle-headed dude and sometimes Enki, and they're standing by this tree, right? And the tree has many different points on it, kind of like Sephiroth has way more than those, and it has the pathways intermingling between the different sets. And then there's these branch buds coming off. The eagle-head dude is always carrying a bucket, and then got his hand up like this, and Enki is always pruning or doing something to it. Some of the larger reliefs show the tree there and their creation of man going on. So the tree of life for the Sumerians could have possibly, it's not a 100% because we're just not going to ever be 100%, but the tree of life with the Sumerians represented, in a way, what it takes to create, to clone, to mix DNA of the humanoid creature that was on the planet, but not only the humanoid creature on the planet, but also to mix and create what is necessary for the Anunnaki to maintain their long lifespan. You see, they use monatomic gold and other chemicals and things like that to maintain their long life, and to also revive people who may have passed. Like when Dumuzi died, he could have been if they got to him in enough time, he could have come back to life. there was a dude on Mars. He was supposed to have, I think, I can't remember if it was Llama or something. No, Llama is the one that she left dead. But there was another guy that was supposedly resurrected on Mars. And that's why there's a pyramid on Mars and there's the face of a llama on Mars. But the tree represented their scientific scale, how they scientifically did things by manipulating genes and manipulating DNA and that sort of thing. So that's what they represented with their tree, and they understood the beauty of science. That's why the Kabbalic tree of life is incredibly similar. Now, I do use this Kabbalic tree of life merely for understanding of balance, balancing in your life, right? Understanding that in order to balance my foundation, I have to balance how I see beauty, the Tefera, how I see beauty, how I get my knowledge, my wisdom, my understanding. I mainly focus on what should be here is the Dayath, which is knowledge, and then Binah, which is understanding, and then Chakma, which is wisdom, and then the Keter, which is the crown. But as you see on this one, I like this one because it also has your chakra points and how they correlate. You see, beauty correlates with the heart, right? And then voice correlates here, right, across there, which is your ability to speak and communicate. And there are also planetary alignments with each one of them as well, right? So beauty is represented by the sun, Virgo with victory. I think that's Virgo. Nope. I think that's Virgo. I'm not sure. I have to look it up again. I'm not as good with my astrology, with these symbols. Like, I think understanding is Saturn or Jupiter. One of them. I don't know. I had to look it up. I ain't looked that part up. I haven't researched that part again. But also, all 22 paths do correlate as well with a letter in the Hebrew alphabet. So that is some of the other symbols that you're seeing all around here, some of the Hebrew alphabet. But it is, I just noticed one of them, but it is through all of that. It's the understanding of who you are, of how you balance these things, of how you raise your consciousness. That's the truth. That's the idea behind it. Whether it was a scientific construct for the Anunnaki, and that was the best way. The Sumerians, who was working for the Sumerians, worship meant working for the gods, not praising the god. It meant working for the gods. So those who worked for the Anunnaki, they only could depict it as a tree. Their understanding said it's a tree. It's like a tree. They can liken it to something. So as that has progressed through history, it became the great tree of Yggdrasil. It became these other trees throughout other cultures because that was what they were reconciled it as. And in the Kabbalah, it is a tree that represents your growth and how you grow. And that is the biggest picture here, is how you grow, how you develop. How do you become whatever it is? How do you reach that state of enlightenment? How do you get to the point where you're sitting under your own personal Bodhi tree and come to enlightenment, to understand your life in all its aspects? Even if it was the idea that the creator had to break himself down or herself down, itself down into all the different categories in order to truly know itself and to experience the universe, I still can't get down with that. But you yourself have to come to that understanding of universal you and how you connect. You see, you can't say as above, so below. Like I said, the roots of the tree go down into branches, as well as the tree from the I forgot what the middle of a tree is called. Trunk. The trunk of the tree goes into branches itself. So as above, so below. You are an as above, so below. You are a creature, a being that is here on earth that has a physical makeup, right? That's made out of matter. But we also know that matter doesn't really exist because you are energy. All of this is energy. It's just moving at a rate that's slow enough to coalesce and create something that I can touch that doesn't pass through one through the other, right? I mean, think about it. It's supposed to be at the same frequency. It's supposed to be at the same thing, but it can't. My hand don't pass through the other hand. We're matter. But we know that we're energy. We know that we are vibrating, right? And it's interesting. Somebody has said to me on one of my comments that we are not frequency. We are vibration. Well, when you have vibration, it creates frequency. So you vibrate at a frequency. So vibration and frequency are so close knit together that you can justifiably say you are a frequency because everybody vibrates and everybody has a frequency. But we know that. We know we're energy. But yet, because we are a finite mind, we can't pass through the wall or anything like that. Oh, good evening, Nori. How you doing? What's up, Shondell? But we know we can't pass through the wall. We don't have that ability. We're not at that highest level of consciousness to be able to do that. But that's what the tree of life is actually trying to show us, is that we have to continue to elevate in our consciousness. You know, where can you find a copy of this diagram? The easiest way to say that is in Google, right? Oh, you're welcome, Tia. In Google, Kabbalic Tree of Life, or just Tree of Life. Tree of Life would be a little bit more difficult, get a lot more stuff, but if you do Kabbalic Tree of Life, Google that, and then hit images, and it should come up as one of the images. Click on the image, then right click on it, and save as, and put it wherever you want to put it. And you'll find this one, you'll find a bunch of them. Now, I will say, find one that has the dioth in it as well. I had one that had the dioth in it. I just don't know where I put it. So that's why I didn't pull that one, because I would have pulled the one with the dioth. But think about that. It is for us to grow into it. So many movies try to tell us this. Star Wars tried to tell us this. If you look at Star Wars, think about it. Darth Vader going through the dark side. The Sith always going through the dark side. But the Jedi, they don't go through the dark side. They just try to get understanding and wisdom, but they can never get to the Keter because they can never go through the dark side. And I think I told you guys last week how Luke went through the dark side, but it terrified him so much so that he didn't make it all the way through. And Kylo Ren, he went through the dark side but got lost. But the new chick, Rey, she went through the dark side, saw all her reflections, and she survived it and came out and was more powerful. And that's how they're moving that story. Now she will become the greatest Jedi because she wasn't afraid of the dark side, but managed to control it with understanding and wisdom. And because this Tephra here, the one that's beauty, it goes, if you keep your beauty and you go straight up in through the dark side, through the abyss, then that beauty helps you to understand keep your balance when it comes to understanding and wisdom and into the crown, right? Which is one of the reasons why I believe they used a woman to show beauty, so that the beauty would take her through and keep her, and that she saw all these reflections of herself. I hope I'm not spoiling that movie for anybody who hasn't seen The Force Awakens, but that's what they was talking about. That's what I believe that they were trying to get across. But there's so many things about Kabbalah that's in the Star Wars movies that I definitely believe that that's what they were talking about. So maintaining your beauty, right? Oh, and I want you guys to also notice in that Sephira, the symbol, the astrological symbol is the sun. You see that? It's the sun. Okay? So kingdom, that's the earth symbol. That's the moon symbol. That's the sun. Right? So, yeah. And we know why we talk about the sun. The S-U-N. The S-U-N. So you go through that as for yourself, maintaining that beauty and maintaining all your splendor and having victory and foundation and keeping your foundation and keeping your kingdom, right? It gives you that stability to go through the abyss, through the dark side, through the knowledge. How many people that we know of in every religious organization, the more intelligent they become, the more information they have, the more understanding they have, they begin to go on power trips. They begin to lose themselves to the information. They begin to see themselves as being above everybody else under them. They forget that they are there to serve the people and not have the people serve them. I was listening to a motivational guy this morning, and Simon Sinek, And he was asking a military general, he said, how is it? Well, he was asking a Marine general. I love the son too. But he was asking a Marine general, hoorah, how is it that Marines lead? What makes them so elite? And he said that our officers eat last. Just showing that it is about serving your people. But how many people today get lost in that? You know, we got some people who are in the conscious community and every other religious community. They're starting to put themselves on pedestals and forget they are here to serve people. That for all my knowledge, I will never be the most knowledgeable. I will never be the most charismatic. I will never be the greatest of anything besides what I feel like I am. But in all of that, I always try to maintain a certain level of appreciation and humility for everybody. Even when I respond to people, I try to do that. But so many people, they lose themselves. And that's what this Kabbalic tree, the tree of life, is really trying to teach. In my opinion, is what it's trying to teach. Is actually we're always the student. But always being a student, you can't get lost in your own ego, right? In order to go through the dayath, you have to release the ego. And for some of y'all, the she-go. Got to release it, right? So, thank you. I appreciate that, Nora. So we got to release that. We have to let that go. And as we let that go, it allows us to be able to truly see the universe as it really is. And that's the other key, is being able to truly see the universe as it really is. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's not always nice and it's not always pretty. It's not always going to be agreeable to the masses. As a matter of fact, most of the time, the masses are going to be angry at you when you're trying to help them. Now, if you're trying to allow them to maintain their pain points, they're fine. But as you grow, you'll realize that there are some things that you have to do, some things you have to say, some things you have to teach, some things you have to withhold for the benefit of the masses, but the masses don't see it as a benefit to themselves. But you have to withhold it. You have to take them through it. You have to allow them to feel that pain. It's not always a good thing. It's kind of like when I was in the Marine Corps. There were times where I had to send a Marine in places where I knew this dude may not come back. But I know his family. I know his wife. I know his kids. But I got to send him to do something. I know the reason why I had to send him. I knew the greater good of why I had to send him. But I know his family. I know the pain that's about to be caused. But it's something that you just have to do. It's something you have to do. Coming over from Kev's page. Oh, I didn't know Kev was speaking tonight. I'm going to be mad at him if he was. But so with that knowledge, with that understanding, all right, that's fine. You can stay here right now, Mr. Black Culture. But with that understanding, that's what we have to come to a realization of. Is that I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so we go through that dayath, and that helps us with our understanding. It helps us with our wisdom. And like I said, it's not always popular. It's not always the best thing. You don't always gonna feel good about it. But your understanding of the universe completely changed. If you would have asked, now, do I still want to become a very rich and powerful person? Yes, I do. But my reason why I want to become that, why I am goaling to becoming that, why my desire is that, is completely different as to how it was when I was in my 20s. When I was in my 20s, it was completely selfish. Totally selfish. 100% selfish. Just for me and my kids. And that's it. Didn't really care about anybody else. Hey, Crystal, how you doing? But, oh, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. I understand. And appreciate the donation, Jerry. I appreciate that very much. But now, my mindset is totally different. If you guys have been following some of my videos, it's about nation building over in Haiti and over in Botswana. It's about helping people, getting people to understand and getting a foothold in the economy so that people can see that there is something different, that they can come from nothing and become something. But not only that, but to teach people how to do it, how to change their life. You see, going through that dayath, for me, helped me to understand my purpose better. Helped me to understand what my desires are. You see, my purpose wasn't given to me by some other being, by some God or the all or anything like that. My purpose was given to me by me. By me. I gave myself my purpose, right? It's not all about feeling good, but you understand it better once you learn the truth. Exactly. You're always growing, you understand it better. But I gave myself my purpose. I gave myself my purpose because I decided, what is it in life that will make me happy? I can have all the money in the world, I can have all the toys, I can have all that stuff in the world. But if I'm like King Midas and I got so much gold around me that I don't even have a place I can take a dump, then it's not even, what's the point of it all? If my kids haven't learned how to find love and enjoy love and be loved, then what's the point? If you can't look back and have a legacy and say that, you know what, I built something that now allows for all these people to be able to have a better life. What is my legacy? If my legacy is I made it, I had it, I spent it, I enjoyed it, and now I'm gone and there's no legacy left, then to me, my purpose. What is my purpose? And here's the thing about it. I'm not mad at somebody else who says, look, my purpose is just to have my wife, my kid, or just have my husband, and we just travel the world and have a good time, and it's not even about anybody else. We're just creating this love connection, and if other people can see that love connection and they grow from it, then that's my purpose. I don't have a problem with that. Your purpose is yours. And when you awaken to the universe, to the universal mind, to a, as they like to say, the Buddha mind or the Christ mind or whomever mind, but just to an enlightened mind. How about this? And when you get to the avatar state, even though I don't even watch that show, but you get to the avatar state, then you see the universe in such a way that it's like you don't worry anymore. Like, I haven't worried about something in like decades. You don't wonder like, oh man, how is this like? So if I'm getting ready, I'm opening a store and then run into some issues. Oh man, how am I going to make my way out of it? How am I going to figure this out? How am I going to get the funding? How am I going to find a supplier for this or that? I don't even worry about it. Today, I am not an electrician, and I don't know how to do everything. But I knew I needed to get this plug fixed. The electrician came, he wanted to fix everything. Yes, no worries. And I'm free for that. But all I knew today is that this plug for this machine that I need to work, it's going to work today. And as my father used to say before he moved to the next, whatever level of understanding he's at, he said there's the right way, the wrong way, and then there's the Reed way. So I told myself this morning, this machine is going to work today. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work the right way, through the right way, the wrong way, or the Reed way. But I can tell you this, it is going to work today. So what did I do? I went in there. I kept moving them wires around. I got a couple of sparks, but I moved them wires around until it worked. And then I ran some tests to make sure that it was working properly, and it worked properly. But the thing about that, I never worried about it. I never worried about it at any moment. I just knew that it was going to work itself out. I was going to figure itself out. And I know that's a small thing. It's a very small thing. But another thing I recognized by coming through the Dyath and going up the tree of life, is realizing that you celebrate every victory. You celebrate every victory. You see the balance in the Neches is that you celebrate every victory. No victory is too small to be celebrated. That was me yesterday when my furnace went out. You know the sad part about that, Nori, is that you still have to have a furnace on. I'm sorry, I can't help it. It was a nice 70, 80 degrees a day in Georgia. But it was nice. Let's see. And I like answering questions, so please ask questions. I'd rather do more Q&A than anything else. I want to thank you for helping me grow mentally and for helping me to become more open-minded. Everyone I know thinks I'm crazy, but now I'm finally free. Oh, you are so very, very welcome. And small thing victory, excellent, Michigan. Yeah, I merely go through life. You're exactly right. And coming into your freedom, this is the main reason why I love, even though I don't do the Kabbalic spells, and I don't do well. Let me not say I don't. I do find tarot to be interesting. Tarot is kind of fun to me. It's just a fun thing. Um, yes, you can ask a Bible question. I'll answer it as best I can. But the one reason why I like the Kabbalic tree because it just gives you a roadmap. It just gives you a roadmap of keeping yourself focused on your divinity. If I did participate in the spell work for the Kabbalah, all the spell work and the rituals are just to help you stay on the roadmap to elevating your mind and elevating yourself. And when you come into that freedom, when that wisdom and when that knowledge and that understanding starts hitting that wisdom, then you get free. You get free, and everybody will say you are crazy. But the thing about it is that it won't matter. None of it will matter to you because in order to truly make your way through the dayah, you have to learn to control your emotions. You have to learn to control your emotions. And when you get to that point where your emotions are 90% control, people will say you're crazy, but it won't really bother you because you know you and you understand you. When people try to hurt you, they won't be able to emotionally hurt you because you're confident in who you are and the path that you've chosen. I often say that most people who are religious, they get angry and frustrated because they need you to agree for them to be emotionally satisfied, emotionally confident in what they believe. It's not really about you that they say you're crazy. It's about them finding their emotional comfort in the knowledge that the herd is all going along the same path and they want you on that same path. So since they want you on that same path, you got to feel the way they feel, think the way they feel. Otherwise, you're a disruption to their emotional sanity. And they cannot allow for that to be because they have to have that peace within their emotion, but you're disrupting it. So stay within, don't worry about them because that's a problem for them that they're trying to push on you. And you maintain your sovereignty, maintain your divinity, maintain your balance of your inner twin flame, your male and female energy to know exactly who you are and maintain emotional control backed by logic and knowledge. Let's see, there's some statements said. At Jerry, that's exactly it. I'm doing a documentary on coming up into consciousness, and I would like to interview you. Oh, cool. Yeah, see, I like that. I like y'all talking. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Papa, the master said, I gotta watch and replay. You caught me in attention when you said spell. I didn't talk about any spell work. I will tell you guys this. I do know a lot about spell work, though. Yeah, I do know a lot about spell work. And I do practice certain magic. I have no embarrassment about that. I don't broadcast it that much. There are other people who are more intelligent on that than I am. And I know why I do it. I do it mainly as a way to galvanize my energy and to galvanize my focus. So for people who do practice it, there are people who are like, they big time into it. But I find that a lot of people don't really understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. They've read a book, The Keys of Solomon, Enochian Magic. They've read those books and then they just do it and not even really know what and why they're doing it. I might do a video about spell work. I know I did one about don't practice magic unless you really know what you're doing. I don't know if you saw that one. When you hear the truth, you will know it's true. Mm-hmm. Row your boat down your boat. It means that you should ultimately take control of your life, your body, your thoughts. Exactly. Right. And think about what it says. It's your own personal journey. I'm all for my self power. That's right. You should be all for your self power. And that song, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, I can't sing. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. I love that song because it's telling you that life is just in your mind. It's just here. Everything around you, everything that happens is here. It's manifested in this third dimensional world, but it's just right here. It's just here. It's but a dream. And it's a short dream at that because life continues to the next level of consciousness. Proton Davis says, my question is why everybody call on Jesus as their Lord and Savior, because in Exodus 3:14, God said, "I am that I am," is His name forever in all generations. Haya is the top of the Kabbalah tree. Well, I mean, you got Keter, you got different names. Wow, just yeah, just in your mind. Okay, so let me answer that one. So first, why they call upon the name of Jesus? That is because the name that Josephus ben Mathia talked about was Yeshua, which translated to Joshua. But there was already a Joshua back in the day, so they couldn't call him Joshua. Plus, when the Greeks, you gotta understand, in the Romans, Josephus was writing for the Romans, for Vespasian and Titus. As he's writing for Vespasian and Titus, he's writing this in the Greek. In the Greek, there is no ya and sh sound. So the closest they had was Ius, the saving Zeus, right? So when Philo and Herod and all these people started involving themselves in the writings of Josephus and started creating these gospels, they use Ius, Isus, and then later that came into it's either Ius or Isus. It's Isus, and then that became Ius in the Latin, which then became Jesus in. Actually, if you look at an authorized King James version, it still says Ius, right? It says Ius, but then later on in the 14th, 16th century, when they invented the J, it became Jesus, because they keep him with the Zeus, but it should have been Joshua, right? But there is no power in that name, no matter what that name is. The I am that I am is talking about you. It's talking about you. A person wrote to me today, and they said that we was talking about the power in the name, and they said that if they were sick, they said, they pray. I pray for healing. I'm trying to say it exactly, but he said, I pray for healing, but I know that I am too weak. My faith is too. I know that my faith is too weak, and I am still sick. Well, they just I am'd everything opposite to what they actually think they're praying for. They may be thinking they're praying for that, but they said that my I am is that I am sick. I am still sick. I am too weak. And I am desperate. He said, I am desperate for healing. And the answer is always from the universe is going to be, yes, you are desperate. Yes, you are too weak. And yes, you are still sick. But instead, like that church, the hospital in China, the people came in, and when they was meditating for that woman who had cancer, they were just saying, their minds were totally in focus that they are in the presence of a healthy woman. And all they kept saying was, now, right? To let them know that now you are healed. Now. Not later. Not I'm wanting, I'm desiring, but now. And so if you're in your I am is what you are. And that's where the power is. My power is not, people like to say, oh, you denounce Jesus, now see what happens to you. My life has been great. What you talking about? I've had so much peace in my life. It's amazing. So, no. Coach, quick question. From time to time, I hear high-pitched tones on my right side. I have a clue, but I don't want to just jump to conclusions. Didn't want to give him a Jewish... Oh, they didn't want to give him a Jewish name. They didn't want to do that either. All right, you hear the high pitch in you? First, let's be scientific and go get your ears checked. I'm just being for real. First, let's go get that checked. If after you get that checked, but then after that, you got many different things it could be. And I would hate to just blurt out something. All right. But sometimes I can hear the vibration, the frequency of things around me. Right. And I know that has occurred through all this time of meditating. Right. That I didn't hear it before. But through all this time of meditating and focusing on things, I do something that's very crazy. Don't judge me. But every day I try to levitate something. I always trying to levitate something. And in my mind, I'm hearing the frequency of that thing because I know to break glass, you got to get into the same resonant frequency of the glass. So to elevate something, I'm thinking in my brain, I'm thinking that I got to get the same. I got to connect with the frequency of the pencil, the pen, the chair, whatever it is. So it could be, but I don't know your life that deep in that detail. So I would need to know that. Oh, yeah, Nori said something similar to that. I'm behind on some of you guys what you're saying. Uh, but I am, Proton said, I am, Moses called him Haya. Yeah, but see, you're talking about a character that was invented and something that was written hundreds of years after the time frame that they supposedly existed. That was written in a Septuagint in Greek at the behest of Ptolemy. So as far as putting, and then later, years and years later, a couple hundred years later, they rewrote it in Hebrew or Aramaic in order to validate themselves. So I don't put a lot into that. But as far as being so specific about that name, because it really means nothing, to be honest. Whether I call it the Ketra, whether I call it the crown chakra, whether you call it by the Indian name of the crown chakra, which I don't know right now on the top of my head, no matter what you call it, if I call on the name of a guy called Hat, it is about the energy and the thought. The energy and the thought is all that matters. The emotions is where the energy is wrapped up in. Your energetic emotions and the thought that you have. That's all that matters. All that other stuff is smoke. It's smoke and mirrors. It's about cultures trying to. The cultures only did it because that's their culture. But now we try to do it to say that this one is right and that one is right and this one is right. When at the core of it, it's just what are your true thoughts, your sponsoring thoughts, and what is your true emotions. After that, I don't care what you call it. It doesn't matter what you call it because your true intent is all that because is what's going to be manifested. All right. Nora, I sent. Oh, you sent y'all talking amongst each other. They added the little. They added the little hook. Yep. Yeah, the I am is so powerful because you are speaking to yourself as to what you are, who you are, right? It is incredibly powerful because you are determining your existence at that moment. Sometimes it's most likely I'm trying to contact you. Hey, contact me. Contact me. Actually, I've had some astro travel experiences where I met somebody and then I've met the person at this existence, and it's like we both saying we know each other, and then when I finally got bold enough to say, I think I met you on the astral plane, it was like I thought I saw you in a dream, you know. So hey, I'm just saying, weird things have, interesting things. I'm not saying weird. Interesting things has happened to me. Okay. That Bible will have you confused. It can because it's so very contradictory in so many ways, and then you have to know like who wrote what and when they wrote it and why they wrote it, what was the culture and the conditions around they wrote it, who was the king, the queen, who was in power, what was their goal. If you don't, like KRS said, if you don't know the history of the author, you don't know what you're reading. If you don't understand King James, you don't know what you're reading. If you don't understand the gunpowder assassination, then you don't know what you're reading. Because if you read any Bible today, it's based off the Catholics, Jesuits, because they tried to snuff out King James and his scribes. That's why all the books that are called the King James are not really the authorized King James and are very different. Then the King James got verses in there that didn't even exist before that. Like that whole thing in Deuteronomy that people try to claim as the why black people enslaved. Then, other than that, you got books from the Codex Sinaiticus, like the Book of Barnabas, that was in the Codex Sinaiticus that didn't make it into the King James Version. So it's just, and then they had at the Council of Laodicea, they had the Book of Revelation. They almost took it out, but they took out the Book of Enoch. But it was in there, from 300s up, well, from the 300s up until then, it was viable reading. So it can be very confusing, unless you understand the history, which is why I usually go with text. I stopped reading the Bible a long time ago, and I read text beyond the Bible, before the Bible. Now I do read the Gospel of Thomas and some of the other books from the Nag Hammadi library, because they're more esoteric in their reading. See, Norris said that the King James Version, and God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said that, shall I say to the children, I am have sent me, exactly. And really, he went by himself. Enlil sent that joker. I dropped religion. I dropped religion while I was still on my cancer journey, but I feel so much better. I promise. I never felt anything when people prayed for me or when they prayed for me. Exactly. And you know what? There was a lady here in Atlanta. I think she still has it. The Living Foods Institute. She went through cancer, and she did all the praying and all that kind of stuff. And she went through. I said she went through cancer. She went through chemo for her cancer, and she had got the mastectomy and everything. But then it came back in her other breast. But she was determined not to go through it. Got to go through the chemo, and she didn't care nothing about pregnancy. About praying. So she began to eat superfoods. She began to meditate, and she began to eat high concentrated superfoods, raw chocolate, seaweed, all that kind of stuff. And she cured herself of her cancer, of her breast cancer. Now, she was telling people and teaching people for a while. And then she disappeared. For about 5 years, she just disappeared. I mean, like one night she was here and she was in Decatur, Georgia, and then she disappeared. But then she came back, and she has, I don't know if it's still called, it was called the Raw Foods Institute back then. I think now it's called the Living Foods Institute. But she's helped a bunch of people get cured from cancer. But you know how they feel about those kind of people now. Now that's just eating food and meditating. Ain't got nothing to do with prayer. Because she had a definiteness of purpose in her mind that she was going to be cured from cancer through nature. And that was definite in her mind. There was no doubt. And because she had no doubt about that, she had no doubt about what she was going to do and what was going to happen, she got her results. It manifested. It is when you carry doubt that whatever you think you're trying to manifest is just not going to happen. That's what kills people when they're going through the Dyath, is that they have going through that abyss. Doubt is what kills you. Yoda was right. Doubt, leads to fear. Fear leads to this, and doubt and fear and anger and all that stuff. 100. I just love people no matter what they believe in. Exactly. I don't care what people believe in, just as long as you respect other people. Should have asked for a name, Coach. I don't know what name we're talking about there, but because I'm so far behind, I actually studied the Bible, and trust me, there are things in there that will open and free your mind, and it has nothing to do with religion. There are. I would never throw the Bible completely away. It does have good bits. It does have good wisdom in it, right? And I use a lot of the biblical wisdom every day. Those are the only parts that I kept with me. But I just love the Gospel of Thomas for over the last like 7 or 8 years. But it does have bits of wisdom. That's why it has pieces. It has a lot of wisdom. That's why I won't throw it away. It's just the storytelling and the this is the only way and all that. I don't get down with none of that. And I'm certainly not going to allow somebody to pay me 20 pieces of silver if they rape my daughter. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. They're going to die. Ooh. Hey, you vegan. Go, girl. I'm 90% vegetarian. I might go vegan. I don't know if I can go vegan one day. I like my butter and my eggs. Definiteness of purpose. That's right, Crystal. Napoleon Hill. I love reading his books about the definiteness of purpose. Outwitting the Devil is a very good book that I'm doing a study on right now. In the Bible, could it be the tree of life and knowledge is your brain, and the snake is the lower brain, talking lower brain kind of? Yes and no. Now, when you don't look at Genesis and you don't look at Revelations, everywhere else, like in Jeremiah and all these other places where it talks about the tree of life, it is metaphoric for your state of being. Whether you are, if you're in a good state of being and you're doing righteous things, good things, then you get to partake of the tree of life, and it's metaphoric. Now, the serpent has only since Romans took over has the serpent became evil. The serpent was never evil. The serpent represented wisdom. You look all around the world, and the serpent always represented wisdom and knowledge. And it was always a good thing. Even in the Bible, it says that the children will take up serpents. And they'll get, Serpents have never been evil. The caduceus is two serpents. It's never evil. It's rising up your energy, your knowledge, your consciousness. So, and the other reason the serpent get a bad deal because in the Sumerians the serpent was representing Enki and Enlil was in charge and Enlil didn't like his brother Enki. They were always fighting, so he made him a negative being. Also, their thoughts of the Anunnaki were the main Anunnaki were serpentile and serpentine, serpentine. So that's why they also were represented by serpents. But just metaphors, man, just metaphors. Because the serpent was cursed just to walk on his belly, let's crawl on his belly, but it's still supposed to be able to talk. So I don't know why I don't see any talking serpents going around. Just being funny right there. Don't pay me no attention. My coworker's husband did the same thing. Diet is everything. Diet is everything. What you eat makes a huge difference. You guys know I used to be a personal trainer, and I had some cancer clients, but mostly I dealt with a lot of MS clients, and I'm telling you, working out, lifting weights, and their diet, without an MS client, they get broke down. It's so vital. Um, what do you think about? I can't even say that word. Um, I'm thinking that's a Native American deity or Aztec Mayan deity. If you can give me a little bit more information, I might know it, but I don't know how to say it. But if I don't, I'll tell you I don't. But I go look for it. I go research it. Exactly when the doctor tells you that you have 6 months to live, people often do because they accept it. Exactly, you accept it, and then because you accept, that's what it is, right? There was yep, seaweed and raw chocolate. Outwitting the devil. Yes, it is. And if you're on my Patreon, you know we're doing a chapter by chapter study of Outwitting the Devil. But where was that at? Oh, accepting. And that's what it is. It's about accepting it. I was just speaking to a friend of mine today, and her mother is starting because her mother's older. She's on dialysis, and her friends are starting to die. So she's now starting to accept that she's going to die and die now. So she's getting sicker and sicker. Now, when her brother who was on dialysis, was living with her, they were having a good old time. But now that she's losing people, she's starting to focus on herself dying. So of course, that's where her pathway is going now, because that's her mental state. And you gotta, if you whatever your mental state is, that's what it's going to be. Right? That's what it's going to be. Y'all laughing at me. Proton said cursed. I don't know what you cursed about, but I'm not cursed, and neither is anybody on here. Does the serpent analogy in the Bible comes from the concept of snake people? It could. That's what some of the art anthropologists who are going through the cuneiform and looking at what the Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki being more serpentine. It could be one of the reasons why, but also just the serpent all around, and because the serpent all around the world has been looked upon as a wisdom bringer. It's recent, all this negativity towards the serpent. I've been watching a lot of your videos. They're great. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. Oh, Noreen says she'll be joining. You got to catch up, Noreen, and when you do, I know this is going to seem long for you. Oh, thank you, Jerry. When you go into my Patreon, I did the Kabbalion first. I did the Kabbalion. It's about 13 videos. Go through the Kabbalion before you start trying to catch up on Outwitting the Devil. Okay? And there's about 9 or 10 videos, probably 12 videos on Outwitting the Devil right now. But do the Kabbalion videos first. Nadron said, nope, the tree of knowledge, according to certain scholars, it represents the tree of knowledge after going through the Dyath. And that's what we was talking about earlier, is that there are so many cultural references to tree of knowledge, tree of life. We were just talking about tree of life tonight. We weren't really talking about the tree of knowledge, but there are so many references from different cultures, from Mesoamerican cultures, Native American cultures, Asian cultures, African cultures. Everybody has some kind of reference to a tree of life. And the tree of knowledge is a whole nother one. Some didn't even have a tree of knowledge, but there's a ton. So that's why we're just kind of focusing on tree of life tonight. And I didn't want to try to add that one because then that's just too much information. And we're going like way out of, I didn't want to confuse people. Shondell said, could have kept my beautiful hair. I ain't talking to you, dude. But yeah, you could have. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that, Shondell. But yeah, you got to eat that, eat good. The Kabbalion is, I've been listening. What chapter are you on? For Outwitting the Devil, we're on chapter 9. Yeah, chapter 9. And chapter 9 has a part 1 and part 2. I've only done part 1. Part 2 is going to be dropped over the next day or so. But just chapter 9, like I said, it has 2 parts because it's a big chapter. How you doing, Ghost? But the Kabbalion is the 7 Hermetic Principles. And I would tell you, just in the Law of Mentalism, there's like 5 videos for the Law of Mentalism. Because it's just so much concerning the all. And that was a good thing. I mean, that's something that, like, when we was talking about the I am and the name of God and all that kind of stuff. And the Kabbalion is just the all. Because there's a beautiful statement in the Tao. And I know I'm throwing another book at you. But this will be another book that we'll be doing on the Patreon. And the Tao, it says that a Tao, meaning the Tao meaning way or the all, a Tao that can be named is no longer the Tao. Meaning that once you name God, creator, whatever, once you give it a name, once you codify it, it's no longer it. Because as soon as you codify it, you've made it small. Like Kierkegaard said, the moment you label me, you negate me. Because now I have to live up to the label. So I spent like four or five videos just going over the Law of Mentalism, because the first 3 are just completely about the concept of the creator, right? And how big it is and how infinite it is, which is far greater than anything any of us can truly conceive, at this level of understanding. How you doing, Maurice? I didn't know, so I did chemo and radiation. And you know what? That's the thing. We do things that we don't know. I used to take like all kinds of pills and medication for, arthritis and for, I used to have sickle cell, right? And it was actually me curing myself of sickle cell that really got me on my path when I was in my late teens. When I cured myself of sickle cell, I was like, okay, this religion stuff ain't got nothing. This religion stuff is a bunch of bull, because that dude told me I had sickle cell and I refused to accept it. And I went and studied that stuff in the library, and I figured out, I mean, we didn't have money, and didn't have medical coverage other than what the government gave us. So I was like, I'm not going to have sickle cell. I refuse to have these sickle cells. So 3 years later, there's no sickle cell in my system at all. And every test I've done, I've never had any signs of sickle cell. My kids, no sickle cell, nothing, nowhere. So that really started me on my path of, more homeopathic healings and all that. So when they try to pump me up with stuff, I'm like, no, not doing it. But definitely, if you, deal with, understanding how to eat is so vital to your health. Shondell Thompson, now I'm big sexy ball. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick. I've been trying to get Shondell to do like some kind of show, something. I don't even care what he's talking about. He got that deep melodious voice that a lot of people would love, a lot of people would gravitate towards. So I'm just saying, Shondell, you do something with that voice, brother. Jerry said, "Oh yes, I've been working on opening my chakras. Before you, I didn't know what chakras. Oh, cool. I'm glad I helped. But yeah, opening your chakras is good, and then you got to maintain them. You keep guarding them things. Keep on. Sometimes you got to slow it down and close it a little bit, and then sometimes you open it up. But opening your chakras, all that stuff, it's that mindset of just keeping your energy flowing and having that good energy. And try grounding as well, which is just going out to nature and barefoot, walking in the grass, walking in the dirt, and meditating and focus on drawing energy from the earth and connecting with the earth, right? Because even if you look at it scientifically, the earth has a magnetic field. You have a magnetic field. Every creature on the planet is in concert with the earth's magnetic field. Humans, we do so much stuff. We eat so poorly. We have so many electronics around us that we throw ourselves off. So when you get yourself grounded, yes, sun gazing, love sun gazing. I get to that one. But when you get yourself grounding with the earth, it helps to balance your magnetic field. So grounding is very, very vital. I mean, like I said, I was doing some electrical work today. The reason why I got some sparks is because I did connect the ground wire to a hot wire. So I had to move it around. But grounding is very important. Very, very important. Have I heard of the book Master Key System by Charles L. Haney? No, I have not, but since I love reading books, well, I'll be able to see this again. I will get that one, Master Key System. All right, I will check that out. Yeah, see, Shondell, they telling you, bro. Got to do it. Now, sun gazing. Oh, Shondell, take pills. I still take pills. Well, see, turmeric, charcoal, vitamin C, omegas, that's different. That's different. Those are, and the more natural they are, that's cool. And, you know, I encourage people to make smoothies with those kinds of things, with turmeric and charcoal and cinnamon and ginger and cayenne. I hate the cayenne ones because I don't like anything too spicy like that. But sun gazing. We know we done went way off what we was talking about, but it's all right. So sun gazing. I was being asked a question right there. So here's the thing. Oftentimes I run towards what they tell me to stay away from. So I was told to stay away from, you want to stay out of the sun and cancer and all that kind of stuff, right? Right. So instead of that, I began to lie in the sun. All right. Germany was very difficult for me because there was not a lot of sunlight, and my skin got kind of pale actually. But I used to lie in the sun, and in my mind's eye, I would see myself absorbing the energy of the sun, that good vitamin D of the sun. So you absorb that thing. So I do that for just energizing my body. I stand in the sun gate for a little while every day, especially when I can get some sun. And then the other thing is sun gazing. Now, I don't stare directly at the sun as much. I am kind of blind. But you can use your phone to be able to stare at the sun. There's a sun gazing meditation that I've done and that I do. Don't ask me for it right now because my laptop has a virus on it and I haven't been able to fix it yet. But there's a sun gazing meditation that I have on my laptop that I do at least 2 or 3 times a month. And it's a sun gazing it's a blinking and sun gazing meditation. So yeah, I definitely encourage sun gazing. And I can't remember the gentleman that I learned that from, his name right now, because it was a few years ago that I learned that and started practicing it, and then saw results from it. Saw a lot of results from it. Nori said, I healed my swollen, infected foot by getting grounded, yep, and going to 3-day fruit. Yeah, I'm telling you, your body can heal itself, and the earth can help heal you. From sickle cell. It was all nutrition and exercise. And I stopped drinking fluoride water back then too, but it was all nutrition. Eating superfoods, I ate a lot of fruit, a lot of red, dark fruits, things like that. And I exercised, and I drank as clean water as I could, and I started making green shakes and things like that. But the biggest thing is I meditated, and I saw my blood clean. I saw no sickle cell, and I meditated on it. But then I did give my body the nutrients and and got rid of the stress, so that that my body had a chance to heal itself. You may want to implement a study of the tree of knowledge along with the tree of life, because it gives clarity on the dynamics of opposite existing within the Kabbalah balancing. The tree, okay, so the tree of life is tonight. Later, I'll do one on the tree of knowledge. Like I said, that's why I didn't want to do both of them together, because I want to give people an opportunity to digest one before we go to the next one. Why they chemtrail the sun so much is not natural. You gotta understand the government's idea is to keep you docile. The more you stay docile and the more you stay dependent and sick upon the government, then the more they can control you. So I mean, it's just a simple matter of control. The control that people did back in the day with religion and with the threat of death and all that kind of stuff, it's the same thing today. It just can't come at you as direct as they did back then. You did it, you can fix it. Yep, you can. And you're right about that. You if you created it, you can fix it. I am going to. I have okay. So the uh, Jerry says she would love that sun gazing meditation. What I'm going to do is reach out to the friend of mine who introduced me to that. I mean, we're still connected. She's in Fort Lauderdale, but I can just send her a message and she'll send it to me again. So I'll get it and I'll put it out there in one way or another. I wasn't trying to throw you off anything. I discovered you via Kevin's channel. I appreciate your channel. Oh no, no, no. If I sounded, don't take it that way. I was just explaining why I'm not talking about the tree of knowledge today. That's all. Um, one is, yep, gotta have one. Alkaline water, high alkaline diet. Be mindful of a high alkaline diet. You gotta, you gotta get into that balance. 7.4, 7.5, 6 alkalinity. If something is too acid, you know that's bad for you. But also if something's too base, that's bad for you too. You gotta it's a little game you gotta play. You gotta get right in there in that 7.4, 7.5, 7.6 alkalinity. That's where you want your body to be. And then the other aspect of it, since you're vegan, you won't have this problem. But minimizing your dairy or eliminating dairy as much as you can. That See, if you drink dairy or eat dairy, then mucus can build up in your joints. And if mucus is building up in your joints, then inflammation, this ain't about finances. Inflammation can build up. And once that inflammation build up, that's where you can get bacteria and virus can come and although it may not live in the rest of your body because it may be all good and alkaline, but because you built up mucus, the bacteria and viruses can build up in that area. And then as soon as you have a moment where your body is not alkaline and the virus can live outside of the mucus, it jumps into the rest of your body. So as soon as you go like acid, it'll jump in there. So you might have like a 3-day binge, but in that 3-day binge, then it jumps into the rest of your body, and then all of a sudden you feel sick or you have problems. So you want to keep the mucus levels down, but also keep your alkalinity around 7.4. It could take time using herbs, but it depends on your current condition, right? And then it depends on your commitment to it. Really, it does. Um, how much energy you give into the positive aspects of it, and making sure. Like I meditate twice a day, purposeful meditation, and then I might be saying mantras as I'm driving. So I put a lot of energy towards my meditations every day. How much energy you're going to put towards it is going to make a difference, you know. So it could take a long time, but it cannot. But it also, how far gone are you? Like how far down the road of poor health or some sickness, some disease? Like if let's say a disease was like a conquesting an enemy. If it's all the way up to here, if it's from the legs up to your chest, it's gonna take a while to get it all the way out because you got to fight all that battle. But if it's down at your waist, then that's less of a fight, so less battle. So depending upon how much how much work has to be done. Oh, thank you, Tia. I appreciate that. Oh, and I do appreciate the donations, guys. I do. It's to me, it's an amazing, it's an amazing thing, because like all I want to do is just talk all day and teach, you know. And I learn so much because you guys are asking questions about certain things that I don't know enough about to speak on them a lot, so I don't say much about it. But like some of the books you guys are recommending, some of the other things you're recommending, I mean, it causes me to go and study more and step back, get into my meditation, see the connections, and then go from there. King said, dairy, sugar, flour, processed meats. Yeah, all that stuff is like poison. And I know, I love a little ice cream too. And that's like the bane of my existence. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, about 4 days ago, I had some good gelato. It was good. And I won't have any more until like late May or something like that, maybe. And that's if I go to Bike Week in Myrtle Beach. Well, then I might have some ice cream while I'm down there. But I'm trying to convince my brother to go with me. But he's being hard headed right now. So I hope to go to Bike Week in Myrtle Beach. Why does bad food taste so good? Because they designed it that way. You know, they have food chemists who they're not designing the food. The food chemists aren't putting the food together to make it healthy for you. They're figuring out your flavor palette and what's what's the most addictive level to your flavor palette. And once they can figure out that, then they know how to produce the food to make you addicted to it. And I'm just saying. Now here's the thing. Like I shamelessly do that to a certain extent. To a certain extent, as some of you guys know, um, I own a gourmet popcorn and ice cream shop. Yes, I know I'm surrounded by ice cream, but I don't really eat it. It is so difficult not to, right? What? I am not eating any vegan ice cream. Whatever. when I that them 1 and 2 times, every quarter, like once every 4 months that I do have ice cream, 4 or 5, I'm getting some straight ice cream. So you can curse me out, but I'm gonna do it. Hey, Dee Dee. Oh, and if anybody is interested in tarot readings, tarot cards, Dee Dee Alchemy, who just joined, y'all see her, Dee Dee Alchemy 11. She's been doing her live monthly tarot card readings, and they're very, very good. And yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about your Libra one that you just did, because you know, I'm Libra now, so I like that one. And my moon is Virgo, so I watch the Virgo ones too. But anyhow, I'm surrounded by that stuff. And I lost my track of thought because Dee Dee Alchemy threw me off. But I'm not eating vegan ice cream. I know that. Oh, flavor palette thing. Um, like I'm on my ninth rendition of my caramel. Although I don't put a bunch of, there's very little. It's as natural as I'm gonna make it. Um, Dee Dee has a Facebook page and a YouTube page. But see Shondell, you get your page, bruh. I'll say something about you now. But I work on the flavor palettes. I work my caramel to get the perfect amount of sweetness and the perfect amount of caramel flavoring and that sort of thing, balanced with the corn to make sure that it tastes the best it possibly can. Now, I'm not putting all kind of dyes and chemicals and all that kind of stuff in it and a bunch of artificial things. So I'm doing it as natural as I possibly can, um, but as efficient as I possibly can as well. So hey, they do that, but in the stuff like McDonald's and Burger King and all these ones that just these processed foods and all that, they just straight going for chemical addictions in your brain. That's it. Jerry said I gave so much money to the pastor and he didn't help me at all. He only kept me in change. You deserve donations for your knowledge. Knowledge is help. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I would just hardly ever ask. I can't. Asking is a hard thing for me. Um, oh, fellow Libras, what? I don't know. I'm learning. Actually, to be honest, I did a. When it comes to that, I should do a whole a total show on that, and I'm gonna do a whole show on that. I'm not gonna talk about it here, but I did my birth chart. So I want you guys to go out to something like astrologyland.com and do a birth chart. You have to know what time you were born and where you was born in order for it to be accurate. But it'll tell you where all the planets and everything were on the day you was born. And I did that, and then I studied a bunch of stuff on astrology, and I broke it down so that I actually have a true reading of my birth chart. So I'm gonna do a show on that one too. I'm gonna do a show. I don't know when, but I'm gonna do a show on that one. Yeah, but Dee Dee, she does a great show. She don't know it, but I pick on her while she's doing her show. Um, Tarot cards doesn't that deal with satanic realm? No, tarot, and it's tarot cards, but tarot cards don't deal with a satanic realm. Okay, let me break one word down. Satan. The earliest version of the word Satan is in the Sumerian documents, and that word meant administrator. That's all it meant, administrator. It is later that people have made it mean the adversary, but it just meant administrator. because it was a name, right, that was given to Enlil. Enlil was the administrator of earth. Now later on, Enlil became Yahweh and Jehovah and all that, but he was first the administrator of earth before Anu made him the king of earth. So, and here's the thing, a satanic realm in the way that we would think about it today is just the negative portion of your brain. For those who've been reading Outwitting the Devil, you know that's the negative portion of your brain. It's your negative thoughts. If you want to give it in today's lexicon, it's just the negative thinking. So anything then can be the satanic realm. So don't let people fool you into thinking that voodooism or Santeria or any of these things is evil or negative, because hey, Christianity, slavery, abuse, stealing people, sounds pretty satanic to me. Islam, there's a lot that can be in there that's satanic. But even in the conscious community, all these racist people that are in the conscious community, sounds pretty satanic to me in today's understanding of the word Satan. So don't let people fool you. Don't let people swerve you like that. There's nothing wrong with tarot cards. And there's nothing wrong with numerology. I play around with numerology too. I'm not as good with numerology as I've been with the astrology, but I'm learning. I'm learning more about it and dealing more about it. I have a basic understanding of numerology. And see, I'm working on it. I'm not gonna talk about Libras right now because I broke that thing down. Thank you. Dee gave her her YouTube channel. Scripture say you have not because you ask not. You're right. I would just change that. You have not because you demand not. You don't demand it. No, I don't pick on you, Dee because she's shy. It's because she says, "Hey, you guys." And that cracks me up. Just the way she says, "Hey, you guys," it just, for some reason, it cracks me up. And every time she says it, I start laughing. So don't get mad at me for saying that, Dee. Yes, I love the book. Yeah, I'm glad. Good. Outwitting the Devil. Yeah, that's the book I recommended to her. Oh, hey, Mind Free. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm behind you guys on your comments because I'm trying to like make sure I see everybody's comment, which I know sometimes can be very hard and puts me behind you guys of what you're saying. Okay, if it's about opening your chakras, blacks were very spiritual back in the days. How come they still was lynched no matter how positive they were? Okay, see, I love that right there. And you talking about how positive they were. Let's think about this for a second. Some of the first slaves that came over from Africa were people who were fighting Africans who fought other Africans in combat. And the ones who lost were sold into slavery. That was a common practice, but the type of slavery they were sold into was unknown to them. So when they got on the boat and they were taken away from everything they knew, they were put in a situation where technology-wise they was at a disadvantage. It's just like today, it's just like when I was in the Marine Corps. Some of the people we went against, they didn't stand a chance. 10 of us against 100 of them, that 100 didn't stand a chance simply because of technology and weaponry. So when they got here, it wouldn't have mattered how positive they were. But when you're being beaten and chained and you see that these people were beaten for speaking out and for murder for speaking out, then you shut down. It's just like in today's world. Since Malcolm and Martin were murdered by the government, then guess what happens? Nobody else steps up. That's why we haven't had any great black leaders since them two, because they're too afraid that they're going to get killed and murdered. It's just like today. Every time a police officer gets behind you, like one got behind me today, I had that anxiety up all in my body. And every time I switched lanes, he switched lanes with me, which made me feel even more anxiety. Why? Because we have this situation where black men are being murdered by police officers. So when you ask if they had chakras, why didn't they do something about it? They're here. They had Jesus, and they did nothing about it then either. They had Jesus, and they continued to get lynched. They're praying to Jesus to help him from not being lynched, while the same guy is praying Jesus saying, "Thank you for letting us lynch him." So that's an argument that holds no water. And I find it so irritating when people make those kinds of arguments. Because what you're talking about is people coming over to Africa with guns or going against people who didn't have guns, didn't have that technology because they didn't need that technology at the time. So it's not even a fair question to ask. It's not like there was a fair fight. And then they was tricked into selling people to these people thinking that they were getting something. And then some of them were even selling the slaves to the Dutch to get guns, selling them to the English to get guns to fight their African enemies. So they was looking out for themselves. I don't ever portray Africans as being these loving people who just did everything right. We can't do that. We can't do that. We got to face realities and truths. And the truth is this. We came over here and was forced into a religion that wasn't our own. They beat them on a pole until they called out the name that they wanted them to call out. And then they taught them a book that said that slaves be good to your masters. I mean, wait for your pie in the sky later. Said that you can sell your people into slavery. And they just don't beat them. If you beat them and they die, then, hey, you should get punished for beating them until they die. But if they recover after a few days, then they were justified. And it was okay. So understand the history before you throw that out there. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Numerology is awesome. I love it. I see the numbers. Yeah, numerology is. And you know, if you start to see 1111, that generally means that you're beginning a spiritual journey. If you're seeing 2222s or 222s, then that means that you're in the midst of your spiritual journey, your change. When you start seeing 33s and 44s and 55s, then you are mastering that journey. And then, of course, you can start a whole nother journey after that. But really, another aspect is you're just becoming more attuned to the spirit realm. Your own personal spirit realm is when you start recognizing those numbers, because the fact of the matter is those numbers happen all the time. They were always there. Your mental acuity just wasn't connecting to it yet. Yeah, people always think that, see, that's a scare tactic. Anytime somebody tries to scare you from something using fear as a method to keep you, open your third eye. Allow yourself to, you know, it's scary. The only thing that's scary about opening your third eye is that when you open that third eye, you begin to see things for how they really are. Although the masses look at a situation and think that that's so negative, or that's this and that's that, and they get fearful and they run, you see it totally different. You start to see things exactly how they are. So that scares people. And then some of the things you believed in the past, when you open your third eye, all of a sudden you realize that, oh wait, maybe that's not right. Yeah, the Haitian Revolution. I gotta catch up to you guys. Yeah, 22's, yeah, 7 of the divine numbers. I'm just catching up, guys. Yeah, people are gonna call you Antichrist. They've been calling me an Antichrist since I was like 14 years old. It don't even bother me no more. Every now and then I play into it and I'm like, ah. I'm like, that's right, I'm gonna be the world leader. And I'm gonna make you bow down to my statue. Mindfree said, how did the days of the week get their name? Most of them come from the Norse. Like Woden's Day became Wednesday, Thor's Day became Thursday, Frida's Day became Friday. So most of it is through the Norse mythologies, as we call our day. Sunday is the day of worship of the sun, from Mithraism and the worship of Apollo. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad I can help. I am. I'm going to continue because I wasn't doing live chats that much at all. But Josh and Kevin kept on telling me I need to do more live chats. So I was like, all right, fine. You know, it's kind of, when you're doing a video, then I can mess it up and I can start over. And I can mess it up and I can start over again. So it allows me. But live chats, if I mess up, it's like, oh well, keep going. Just keep on going. And then when I'm making a video, if I get off track, I can say, okay, well, I got off track, so let me start over, or let me cut it and redo it. But this is like, you get off track and it's like, bro, you're gone. Come back. Save me. I mean, this was supposed to be about the tree of life. We done went into numerology and tarot cards and slavery and all kind of stuff. Yeah, I try to read the comments. I know I got behind because I got all up into that stuff. Yeah, the sun gazing. I'm telling you, sun gazing is very beneficial to you. Now, of course, anything that's too, you can't do something too much. I mean, you know, I went to the beach one time a beach vacation, and I was out on the beach for 10 days. It took about 9 of those days for me to get sunburned. You know, I am dark of skin, so it took a little while, but I felt great though. And when I got back, everybody was like, "Oh, your skin looks so vibrant." And because I had been living in Germany and we wasn't getting any sun. Thanks for teaching on the Bible deceptions, descriptiveness. Sorry. A pastor stopped me and we had an interesting conversation. I see in his eyes that something is registered. You know, they don't stop me anymore. I don't know if they just see me and they just know better or something. Because I had a Jehovah Witness dude. He almost approached me today, but then he switched gears and just went on about his business. I mean, he approached me, then he was like, he looked at me and he was like, I was wondering if you can tell me where this building is at. He wasn't looking for that building. He went over to this other place and he started doing his Jehovah Witness thing. But I don't know. Maybe they see it in my face that, look, bro, I ain't the one. So keep moving. Tree of Life. Yeah, so we was talking about the Tree of Life and how it's really a scale to help you understand moving up into your divinity. I mean, the chakra system works the same way, helping you move up into your divinity. But I don't want to go back and start from the beginning of that. Oh, thank you, DD. I appreciate that. No, I'm laughing because Casey said that it's the beards. That's funny. Bought a book called The Will of Life by Andrea. I can't say that name. Anodea Judith. Haven't delved into it yet, but I can't wait to see it. Yeah, and tell me about that book as you start reading, because after I finish Outwitting the Devil, then I'm gonna do The Richest Man in Babylon and then The Tao. So I'll be focusing on those books next. I had a Jehovah's Witness the other day at my door, but it was an elderly lady, so I didn't. Well, for the Atlanta area, any address that I live in or occupy, I'm on the list for the Jehovah's Witness that they can't come to my door, nor do they come to my business anymore, because of a few altercations that I had with some Jehovah's Witnesses back in 2014, when they kept coming to my store trying to recruit people. And I didn't mind them coming to my store and sitting down and having something to drink because it was hot out there and they're out there doing their thing. But when they kept trying to recruit people in my store, I had to shut these people down a little bit. And since then, they don't come to my door no more. And then I was told by one lady who used to come to my store all the time that I saw her at the grocery store and she was like, "I hate that I can't come to your store, but you've been I forgot what she called it, like blacklisted or shunned or something like that. I've been put on some list where they don't come to anything that I put as far as Georgia's concerned. Yeah, I know. Get all those books, And I did a video, Dee, a couple days ago about 5 books that I think that everybody who is coming out of religion into consciousness should read. And The Richest Man in Babylon is one of them. The Tao, Outwitting the Devil, The Kabbalion. It was Kabbalion, Outwitting the Devil, The Tao, Richest Man in Babylon, and there was another book that I can't remember right now. Proton says, why do these females think men like how they're putting all their fake stuff on? They need to be natural. Man, you open up a can of worms right there. You open a can of worms. To a certain extent, I would agree with you. When a person has so much makeup on that that it's like night and day, it's Jekyll and Hyde. Now if they had a problem, they had some kind of major issue, something like that in their life that's disfiguring, I can understand. But they just should make somebody aware of that. But all this other stuff, it could be too far. But it depends on their reason why they're doing it. If you're doing it to please somebody else, then I don't think you should be doing it. If you're doing it because it's of your own pleasure, then that's different. But it's up to each individual. I'm not going to judge anybody for it though. It says it's a user's guide to the chakra system. Oh, you know what? I think I have seen that book before. I haven't read it. But I like reading other people's perspective on things like chakras because people have different concepts, different thought processes. As long as they don't stray too far away from its core, I'm good. You misread what I typed. Jehovah's Witness don't mess with me because of the Oh, the of the bees around your neck. Oh, you know what? You're probably right. They probably don't mess with me because this stuff and all of this. They see that chakra one. He probably ran because he saw the chakra bead. Yeah. You wrote all the books down. Cool. I will watch it. Oh, you're behind. You're behind. You ain't been doing nothing, DD. You better get them books and read them. Yeah, it's 5 books. Oh, yes, it wasn't a book. The fifth thing wasn't. Wait, no, it was. I thought it was 5 books, and then the trivium is what I said to go research the trivium. It's not. You can find a book, but I never read a book on the trivium. I was taught it at a young age, and then I've just studied it. I keep studying it over and over again. But the trivium is just a way of learning. You have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I mean, yeah, knowledge, understanding, and then you get wisdom. So, grammar, logic, and rhetoric is how you think through every and all situations and everything that's presented in front of you. It's just like all this stuff I'm telling you guys tonight. Go back and check it. Make sure you get your knowledge of it. Then you contemplate it, think about it, meditate on it, and then let your rhetoric start to work. Yeah. You're going to put your wig on? Whatever. It's too hot in Florida for a wig. Um, Team natural, but I'm super cute. Just because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It certainly is beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it depends on who's beholding it. Because there are some women I see every day, out and about, and I'm like, she's beautiful. Then there's another one I'm like, to me, she's not. She's not. I'm just saying physically, that sort of thing. Inside, mentally, she might be beautiful. Because there's some who are beautiful physically, but ooh, good God, they're ugly as all get out when you get to know them. But I may think this woman is beautiful. This guy next to me may think she's not. But what does it matter? Only thing that matters is, does she think she's beautiful? And does he think she's beautiful? As long as they both agree, where two come together, say, tell the mountain to move. Nah, just playing. But for real though, when two come together in a relationship, as long as they're together in it, then that's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. The Complete Chakra book, that's a good one. Oh, if you want this chakra bracelet, Jerry, then go to CoachRenz.com. This is my shameless plug. Go to CoachRenz.com. Click on the store and then click on the jewelry tab, and you'll be able to get the chakra bracelet or this Dora Milaje Panther bracelet or the Black Panther bracelet or the Killmonger bracelet. All on CoachRenz.com at the store on that tab. So, yeah, you can get it there. Oh, thank you, Nori. Do I? Appreciate it. Yeah, I watch my boy Jamar. I be paying attention. Um, just started rocking my afro. I got to cut this right here. I can't let this grow. Growing hair I don't like it. I can't grow hair. I can, I just don't like to do it. Good night, Shondell. Oh, yeah, I'm about to hang up on all y'all in a few minutes. You got a store? Where have I been? Dee, where you been? You ain't been paying attention to none of my stuff. I'm up here watching all your little videos. See how you are? Nah, I was just playing. I understand. You busy. You growing. Dee is growing her business. I'm loving watching it grow. So I understand, young lady. But yes, on my page, my business page, I put a little store up. It has all my training programs on it, but it also has where you can buy things like this as well. Melissa said, I love your videos. You and Kevin helped me get out of religion. My third eye is so open. Am I on? Am I? I'm on my third book. Cool. Awesome. That's great. I'm glad we can be of service. That's a great thing. Yeah, my shameless plug. Yep, you opened the door for my shameless plug, Jerry. I appreciate it, and I sure took advantage of it. Isn't hair like your antenna? I've heard that. I've heard that being taught as your hair is like your antenna, especially something big with the Rastafari. Oh no, there's nothing to be sorry about, girl. Um, I heard that with the Rastafari. It can be, but see, we're talking about cultural based things when you go there. Because look at where, okay, so if you talk about chakras, right? Oh, wait a minute. Before I get deep in there, where's your popcorn side? It's the letter U, the letter R, and the word popcorn. So you are popcorn. And say, okay, wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna get behind on some of you guys' comments because I want to explain this part about your hair. The chakra of the planet, the third eye, I mean the crown chakra of the planet, Right now is by most accounts is believed that it's in the Tibetan area. This is where the Buddhist monks and the Tibetan monks are. They shave their head, but according to most, they're most in contact with your crown chakra, or on the Sephra, your Ketra Sephra. So they're in the most connection with divine source right now in that area. And I will say that when I was there a decade or so ago, 2 decades ago, I felt a different kind of energy while I was in that area. So I'm going to say that the hair didn't matter. That's a cultural thing. It's kind of like with the certain Jews. They say they got to keep their beards and let it grow and never cut it. Because of stories like Samson, we believe things like that. Is it Samson? Not Samson. Yeah, Samson and Delilah. Yeah, that one. So if you conceptualize that too much inside here, then that's what you're going to believe in. Too much inside here, that's what you're going to believe in. You're going to dampen your ability to connect with divine source. You can connect with divine source if you have a whole bunch of hair or no hair at all. Right? You can still connect with divine source. It's kind of like in that movie with the Doctor Strange movie. He thought he needed his hands in order to perform magic, until the one guy came up and all he had was a nub and he was performing the magic. It's all about what's in here and what's in here. Okay, so Dee Dee says, I'm into ancestor altars now and daily ancestor offerings. Amazing. Yes, I've had an ancestor altar and work with ancestor altars as well. Ancestors also can be very good. There's great meditations that deal with calling your ancestors and offering them and letting them encircle you and guide you. And if you think about it, one of the things I love about ancestry work is that you're reaching for that knowledge and that energy of your ancestors that came before you. So what they call the Akashic record. You're reaching out to grab that source energy, that source knowledge. And it has been very helpful over the last few years for me. Any advice on how to share consciousness with covenant Christians? I would say just share gently the information. But here's the thing. When I'm talking to somebody of a different religion, I usually share consciousness where I find it in their book. Because if you can show where it's in their book first, then it's easier to help them to understand, because it's coming from their book first. And then as they go along their journey, they start to release and let go, because they realize that, wait, there's no way I can have these contradictions in my book if my book's supposed to be perfect. So no matter if I'm talking to a Muslim or a Hindu or a Buddhist, it doesn't matter. I start with their book and then work through their book if they're willing. If they're not willing, I just leave them alone. I just go about my business, because that ain't my job. Well, I ain't gonna say it's not my job, but you just can't force somebody to drink. I think we crazy these days because women don't cook no more. Teach an online cooking lesson for them. We have gotten to a fast-paced world. We've gotten into a two-house income world. We've gotten to a place where people don't take care of one another or take care of the house like they used to. And I know some people look at that as, oh, it's just hard and we gotta have. But most of my married life, my wife never had to work, right? And sometimes that meant not having a new car when everybody else got a new car. Sometimes that meant not doing certain things that everybody else was doing. But I'd rather have my wife at home and her be free to pursue whatever she wants to pursue than her having to go out here and deal with the fickleness of this world. But that's just me. And as far as the cooking, Big Mama started being, 30 years old when she Big Mama. So it's like she don't know how to cook. And fast food became too easy. I'm doing a documentary. Okay. What do you think of them? They are what you think they are. I got to get the context of that one. Right, use their weapons against them. Okay. I may be lost on what some of the conversation is, some of the question, because I got caught back. That's the hard part about trying to keep up with and read everything. So Nori's doing a documentary, everybody. So if you want to be a part of her documentary, if you think that you would like to participate, I want you to contact Noreen. I'll just call her Nori all the time, even though I see it's Noreen, but I just keep calling you Nori. Yeah. So everybody contact her to get information if you're interested in being a part of her um, documentary. Yep, and there are the two. That's why I did the videos about credit. That's why I do videos about credit, and I do videos about finances. That's why the next book on the for the Patreon is The Richest Man in Babylon, because um, there is no reason to actually be a two income household. There's no reason, right? I know it seems and but to get there, it's not going to be easy. I mean, I'm 46, right? So to get so to if you're starting at 46 to drop out of a two income household, it's not easy because you're not built up a lot of debt, and you certainly want to live a certain way because you're 46 years old. It's like, man, I am not trying to live like I'm 20, you know, sleeping on air mattresses, but you know, but it's a process, and if you're willing to go through the process, but there's ways of doing it to minimize the pain as well, which is why, I talk about finances and credit and that sort of thing, because we can get there. We can get there, and the more we get there, the more peace we have in the household, and the better relationships are, and the better our kids turn out to be. Tia said their weapon is the Bible. Yeah, that's their weapon, but here's the thing: most people who claim the Bible as their weapon really don't know it. They know the little parts that they've been preached to, and that's the sad part. And that's why if you're talking to somebody who's coming from the Bible, show them the parts that they're not taught, and then show them the consciousness that's in it. Right? There's a lot of consciousness that's in the Bible as well. You just have to understand it. And that's why I don't read it that often, but I still pay attention. I still like pull certain parts out of it. Oh, okay. You don't mind me calling you Nori? I appreciate that. I don't want to get beat up. Let's see. So you're 28. Yeah, the earlier you start with the single, like my daughters, my oldest is only 22. So I get on their nerves to try to keep them in that position where they're not, over expending, over committing themselves to anything, to make sure. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, I said that this was only going to last an hour. We got 2 minutes and some change of seconds counting down. So let's get them last questions in. I do want to say before that, wow, the people who donated to this video, I appreciate it. I really, really do. That's made me feel all tingly inside right in here. Feeling all happy, because it's like it's a level of appreciation that it's just a different whole nother level of appreciation, because people really appreciate you when they want to do that, and do that without you ever asking for anything. So I really, really, really appreciate that. And definitely, I will start doing a lot more of these live chats. And I don't know, it's not going to be on a schedule. I'm just going to do them. It's just I'll try to give you guys warnings earlier in the day off my Facebook page, or even on, like, if I know I'm gonna do a live chat, then I'll say something in the video that I produce earlier in the day, like I did today. A lot of talk about the Sabbath, but don't talk about how many times the new moon is mentioned in the Bible. Yeah, I mean they talk exactly. They talk about there's so much, and that's what I'm saying. If you show them the astrology that's in the Bible, you show them all that astrology. You show them all the how they talk about different how meditation and the third eye, and like it talks about let thine single eye be clear, and then you break down what's the single eye. What is a single eye? And there's nothing that they're taught in church about that. And then show them and then you start showing them and first show them that, then show them the contradictions, and they'll think their own. You've done a great job when the student think they learned it themselves. When they think they came to that conclusion themselves, that you fed them in such a way that they think, man, yeah, I was reading and reading, then I came to this realization, right? So I mean, when you do it that way, it's so much more powerful because they've internalized it so much more. The thing that helped me, that made me really who I am, is the fact that I went out on my own to go study all this stuff because of the lack of those people who were in charge of me. and not my parents, because my parents are just like, he different, so we're just gonna let him go. But that the library and the people who were helpful to me back then, that just opened my eyes, and I felt so much more empowered because it wasn't that somebody convinced me. It's as much as just through study, I realized it, came to a realization. So if you can guide a person that way, that's great. Yep, you did, Jerry. I think you did pop that thing out, girl, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Um, Makes your chakras. It does. I'm saying that's why I was here, because it. I can feel my heart chakra spinning a little, a lot more because of receiving that love. I'm serious about that. So it's like, ooh. What is your Patreon? It's Coach Renz. Patreon.com/Coach Renz. I've been putting it wrong for like the last 2 months. Been putting Coach Renz 33 when my Facebook is Coach Renz 33. But yeah, Patreon is just Patreon.com/Coach Renz. Um, so it is. We did 2 hours, guys. And unlike Kevin, I am not going to be talking for 4 hours, even though it's mostly my fault that he talks for 4 hours sometimes. And I will take the blame of that. But I really enjoyed tonight. I like the fact that we started out with one subject, but we covered a whole bunch of other things, right? So then that's cool. That's cool. To be free is to be conscious. But I really appreciate you guys. And some people got to get up in the morning and go to work, because I got a lot of popcorn to make. So I appreciate it, and I look forward to the next one, which like I said, we're gonna start. I'll start doing a lot more of these live streams. So start getting your questions ready, and please share and invite other people to join us, because I really appreciate this. And this, guys, is what I love doing. I have my popcorn shop, and it's great. I do other things, and that's great. But this is what I love to do. This is what I love to do. So I look forward to it. And like I always say, you got to free yourself to be yourself. Why? Because your greatness is non-negotiable. And good night, guys.